And welcome back to the ultimate in team building exercises. Jason Sukamel, Alex Dunlap. I'm convinced that every boss out there should just deposit like $100 in like a prize pick account for one of their workers and have it matched and then just talk about it every day. Don't you guys think like that everyone in the company would get along if everyone was playing prize picks? Jason?
Unless they're giving each other bad picks, then that piss people off. But yeah, man, like, hey, start off every team meeting, every group meeting. Like, let's talk about our prize picks from last night and what we're going to do today. I mean, nothing more fun than prize picks. I actually hit some Monday Night Football prize picks.
You won, Jason? How did that happen?
Not like you, Anwar, not in your level, but now Baker Mayfield screwed me out of hitting a 6 for 6, so that hit me pretty hard. But I did hit a couple others. Well, I was watching, what game was it? It was the first game, so the Philly-Tampa game, right? And it started pouring rain. I'm like, I'm taking some of those second half lessons on the passing numbers, and most of them hit, man. So yeah.
Congratulations. Well, how about you, Alex? How'd you do over the past weekend?
Golly, I wish I could look. I got to show you guys this one thing. Hold on.
Okay.
I'll go to Prize Picks right now and pull it up from the last weekend, and you can tell me just what a suck out this was. Hold on. Check this out. So my entries. Okay, Blake, I'm allowed to share my screen just like am I allowed to share my screen here? Am I? Okay. So let me check this out. So my entries from this last one. So that one didn't go very well. Look at this one though. So $20 flex play to win $500. So I nailed the Tony Pollard. I nailed Jonathan Mingo. I nailed the Brandon Aubrey. I nailed the Jacoby Myers. I nailed the Jason Myers. Roshan, our guy Roshan, lets me down by 1/2 of a receiving yard in this one.
Oh no!
It's fun though, man. It's fun. It's
500.
And here's the thing: for $20, you ended up doubling your money for that, and to have a sweat where you're just sitting there sweating $500 over, just Roshan, catch a pass. It makes the game, especially a game like that with KC versus the Bears, it was so boring. It even makes that kind of thing exciting. So that's why we love Prize Picks for sure.
Yes, right now they will do a 100% deposit match up to $100. SEC Matt, who's usually on my show, won $2,500 the other week off of some very interesting picks. I got other people telling me and signing up for it, telling me they are doing well. So it is fun because all you got to do is more or less. You don't have to worry about all kinds of point spreads and weird things like that. It's just real simple. So sign up now. Enjoy it. See the thing that we are talking about every single week. Also talking about Texas, Kansas, guys. And so Texas is back home after that win against Baylor, Jason. Convincing win against Baylor, but they got a 4-0 Kansas team that's coming in. Give me your thoughts and give me kind of a score prediction about that game.
Pretty good Kansas team. This isn't your old Kansases that are going to be doormats. This is the same Kansas program that won in Austin 2 years ago, of course. They're healthy. They've got a dynamic quarterback. They've got a really good running game. They've got a great front seven that's going to test Texas. So, this is a game I'm going to pick Texas to win. There, last I looked, it was 16.5-point favorites, which is a little surprising to me. I'm going to pick Texas to win, but Anwar, this is not a guaranteed win like you sometimes think about when Kansas comes to Austin 2 years ago, notwithstanding. Texas is going to have to play a good football game like they did against Baylor. If they play like they did against Baylor, I don't think Kansas or anybody else on this team or on the schedule is going to beat Texas. That being said, if Texas plays like it did against Wyoming for 3 quarters, hey man, Kansas can have them on the ropes in the fourth quarter. So that could be dangerous. So I like Texas in this game. I think they need to play a clean brand of football, though, and kind of do some of the similar things they did last week, not turning the ball over, be efficient in the passing game. Jonathan Brooks seems to have it cooking, and that defense is really good. My score prediction, I'm trying to kind of think it out as I talk. I think Texas gets to their I'll go Texas 34, Kansas 20. You know what? I'll throw in a field goal. 34-24. I think Texas wins, but I think maybe Kansas busts that spread. But I still think Texas wins by a couple scores. So give me Texas 34, Kansas 24.
Wow. Okay. 34-24 is
I
the
gotta write
pick.
that down so I don't forget when I make my written predictions. Yes.
Yeah, that's always my thing too, Jason. I'm always like, oh man, I totally have done this. All right, Alex, you've heard 34-24. What do you got in your head as you start thinking about this game?
That's funny, man. Like we're so it's funny. Like Jason, he's like sitting here. He's literally trying to think through his prediction as he's just saying that we're so busy in season through
Normally,
the
I
week.
write it down
You
before
know what I'm
we get
saying?
on
Yeah,
air, right?
it's just
Yeah.
you get to this point and you're just like, all right, man. Well, it's Thursday. It's time to make some predictions, I guess. But clearly we've gone through the week thinking a lot about this thing, and for me, especially like with Blake and I, we talk about the on my show in the afternoons here. We talk about the betting public and sort of the money trends and stuff like that. And it's been a weird, not a weird, but an understandable sort of track that this line is taken. That it starts out at 17, and 17 being a number that is really kind of hard, to come off of, right? It's a big key number, right? Games are generally if you just think about it like football wise, it's like 3 is a key number, 7's a key number, 10's a key number, 13, 14, 17. Those are all key numbers, right? So whenever Texas, no one's betting on Texas here. No one was. And the books were holding steady at 17. Now we have more people coming in on Texas. We're up now to 29% of the bets on Texas, still only 18% of the money. So we have all the little small money fishy bettors betting on the Texas here minus the points, whereas 71% of the public is on Kansas, but 82% of the money. So the people that would venture to say that some of the people who have a little bit more money to throw around, who could be sharper bettors, probably on the Kansas side here when it was at 17. So for them to finally bust and say, all right, fine, we're taking it off 17. We're going to go through the key number. We're going to 16.5. I kind of think this line's going to keep going down, right? I think that what's the difference between 16.5 and 15.5 in this kind of spot? I mean, really, like, how's that going to influence the mind of somebody betting on this game? I don't think it does at all. So to me, I've always thought it felt closer to a 2-touchdown game. I've always thought that was sort of the line that I would go with. And so if we have an implied, what's the line? I don't even know the over under. What is it? 60 or so? 61. I was thinking it was probably 60. That to me seems like that feels about right. I say it's kind of like a 37-23 type of thing. It's like right at 60 points, 14. That's 14 points separating them. That's what that's where I'm going. I've just talked myself through my prediction. 37-23 Texas.
All right, fellas. I'm about to give you some numbers, and I'm gonna. Your predictions are in, but I'm gonna allow you the opportunity to be swayed and change your prediction.
Okay, right.
If you want to. All right, because I'm going to give you some numbers that you may not know.
Almost says he'll allow it.
Okay, I'll allow it. Okay,
he's in charge today.
So first and foremost, let me start with Kansas. For the most part, is semi-terrible on their defense. Their defense is better from a number standpoint. But I'm going to tell you something. Here's a stat that I got from Action Network about the Kansas defense. Opponents have crossed their 40-yard line, the Kansas 40-yard line, 10 times, and have scored 162 points against this kid. I just said the 40. I haven't talked to red zone. 10 times opponents have scored, just gone past the 40, and then given up 162 points so far. As far as red zone defense is concerned, Kansas is ranked dead last in the Big 12. They have given up, they're 14 of 14. 14 times that the team has been in the red zone. 14 times a team has scored 10 touchdowns, 4 field goals. This ain't a team that's holding down anybody in the red zone. Strength of schedule for Kansas right now is one of the worst in the country as far as strength of schedule is concerned. It's well over 100. And I know we've talked a little bit about Kansas beating Texas in the past. I did some digging and I went some research on that one. I want Blake to put this thing on the screen for me because here's a really relevant stat that's here. Now, Now this is the series history from 2000 to 2022. I started thinking to myself, has Kansas ever played Texas outside of November? Because I felt like when they've had the upsets, it's always been in the cooler months. And guess what? Look at when the dates have been. They have all have been in pretty much November when it's been nice and cool and weathery. They played one time in September, and that was in Lawrence. Just about every other matchup has been in November. Guess what, fellas? It's going to be 95 degrees this weekend when this game is played, right around kickoff time. What's it going to feel like when it's on the field? Does that feel like over 100? This will be one of the cooler days that Texas has played or practice in football. You guys know what it was like when we were out there in August and stuff, when it's 110, 115 degrees. And they've been getting bred in that hot ass Texas heat, and these Kansas guys are going to come in here.
They're going to be in the shade too. They're going to be on the shady west side, right? The Texas guys will be.
Yeah. So now, and that's another element that I think it's a small element, but I think it ends up being a big element. I don't think this defense is this good. I don't know that they can stop Tavondre and Byron Murphy for 4 quarters. I think so. For me, when it's all said and done, I think it'll be a much ado about nothing. I think Jalen Daniels will score. And so I will give him that there'll be some breakdowns, especially off the analysis that you've given as far as sometimes in the secondary is concerned. But I got 41-23 Texas. I think Texas will be able to score at will, and I'm expecting a pretty big day from this offense. So 41-23 was where I'm at. Have I swayed anybody? Are you still going to stay with?
I don't think that your prediction is that much different than mine. I mean, 37-24. It's like we're only off.
You get another touchdown for Texas from where I'm. I love that Elmore. He's going so deep. He's like looking at the months and the weather and stuff. Look at that analysis.
It's true, man. It's true. And the other thing is, if you look at the we've talked about it on. We've talked about how it's interesting that they have these D-line transfers from Minnesota. That it isn't like they're used to the hot weather. And the other thing about those D-line transfers from Minnesota is those guys played behind Trill Carter. They can't get on the field at Texas. He gets on the field, he just isn't doing much.
Well, one of them's an edge guy, and he's got 3.5 sacks. So he's the Austin Booker kid. Who's ironically his uncle is an Orangebloods subscriber, and he wanted to get that kid to Austin in the worst way, man. So,
is he really? He's an Orangebloods guy. Oh, that's funny.
Hey, Amar, like. All week, I've been saying, I think this game plays a little closer. I'm just expecting Texas to take a little step back from what they showed in Baylor. This is a good Kansas team. But then I talked to some Kansas people this week, and I told them that. I said, I think Texas wins, but I think it's a little closer. And the Kansas people I talked to are like, I don't know, man. Kansas letting Nevada hang around. Maybe this is a little smoke and mirrors. So they had me second-guessing myself. Now you've got me second-guessing myself a little bit. But I'll stick to my original prediction that Kansas gets a sort of a backdoor cover, if you will.
Well, we all got a Texas victory. I think that's what's most important at the end of the day. Well, let's see if we get some victories and some prize picks. I have after I've been hit big, I have been pretty horrible going forward. I'm not going to lie. The past weekend or so,
karma for all that shit talking you've been talking on.
It was horrible. The prize was karma came back and hit me in the butt. But Blake, show us what we got from the Texas perspective. I'm kind of curious, guys, if any of these ones move you. Alex, when you start looking at some of this, but we got Jonathan Brooks at 91.5. We got Quinn Ewers at 271.5 passing yards. Jonathan Brooks with the rushing yards. Xavier Worthy, 62.5 receiving yards. Jatavian, who went over 100 last week, they've got him at 52.5 receiving yards. And Adonai Mitchell at 43.5 receiving yards. Which one of those plays moves you the most, Alex, or do all of them move you?
I think that so first of all, I think with the Jonathan Brooks one, I mean, I could get Jonathan Brooks could just keep shoving it down my throat. I mean, it's like maybe it's just on these lesses for him. I just think that last week we only CJ Baxter mixed in for 22% of snaps. Jay Brooks played 70% of snaps. Considering the fact that Baxter was supposed to be the starter to start this season, I gotta think that that's going to even out eventually and not going to be a 70 20 split with just a little bit of a mix in of, guys like Keelan Robinson, Savion Red and Jaden Blue, right? I think that's going to, whether or not CJ Baxter emerges this season back as the number one on the team, I think that's now a excellent debate to have. I think it's an excellent question. Certainly, Baxter, as he gets back to health, and Steve Sarkisian said that he is a guy that's definitely working his way back to health. It's just and it's the same thing I said last week, and I was wrong. I think I just projected Baxter to play more last week, but it was like 86.5, and I said you're projecting Jay Brooks to be an every down back with that projection there, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one now it's up to 91.5. CJ Baxter should ostensibly play more. So for me, it's like I think that just the pure edge is just to take the under on that simply, or the less on that, simply because the projection, the people at Prize Picks are projecting Jonathan Brooks for a true featured workload, and I'm just not sure that that's going to happen. Now, could he break it off in one play? Maybe, I don't know, but if we do get, even 10, 15% more Baxter as he works his way back, that it's kind of an absurd line, right? 91.5. That's a line that you give to, like, isn't that what they give to some of these guys that are just the elite feature runners that don't have any worries about anybody taking their snaps away? So like that's the way I see that one. And then with Xavier Worthy,
before you go past that one, Alice, what do you think about when Sark said on Monday, he said, no, we still got to get CJ Baxter healthy. That implication was he's still not at 100%, So if he said even though he had a great day of practice on past Thursday, right? He said it was one of the best he had seen him. And then on Monday he goes, well, we still got to get him healthy. So do you factor that in at all?
Yeah, well, yes, it's all part of the equation. But the fact of the matter is he should be healthier this week than he was last week. And last week he played 21% of the snaps.
Okay.
So, I feel like the whole narrative of working him back to health means like, okay, more snaps this week. So that's the way that I'm interpreting it. Again, it could be wrong, but I feel like that's an edge. So I would take the less on Jay Brooks. And then just the interesting thing with Worthy is what this is we generally have gotten him now to where they usually get him in the 73.5, 76.5s lately. Last week, he gets the precipitous dip in his target share. He's been on the season coming into this week, been a 27, 28% target share guy. This last week, only a 12% target share, bringing his total target share for the season down to, I don't have it pulled up. All this is kind of off the top of the dome. But I think he brought his total target share on the season to 22 or 23%. Whereas that kind of game from Jatavion Sanders, where he had 7 targets, it brought his up to where he's hovering just under 20% right now. So I don't think that's going to be the way. I think that'll stabilize back out, and we'll get kind of Xavier Worthy to a higher hog rate moving forward. He's so good, so dynamic. I think that this is a little bit of an overreaction with him. I would have figured they set this line at 69.5. So the more with Xavier Worthy on the receiving yards is very appealing to me as well.
What about you, Jason? What sticks out to you?
Yeah, Alex just nailed it on that last one. This one's easy to me, right? I'm not touching the Jonathan Brooks deal, man. I mean, last week I took him for the more and he busted that. And after 2 consecutive weeks, I'm staying away from that. But Xavier Worthy last week came up with 3 catches all for 31 yards. I mean, Gunnar Helm outgained him, guys. I think this is going to be a game, and you said it, Alex, his target share was down last week. Well, Texas had that game pretty much locked away in the second quarter, so they weren't going to have to pepper him with, 12 targets or whatever crazy number they want to do. This game, I think, plays a little closer. I think Worthy's going to be a bigger factor. We saw JT Sanders. I took him last week on the more because he got shut out. I'm like, all right, they're going to want him to get him back involved, get that confidence rolling, so on and so forth. What does he do? He goes out and gets 5 catches, 110 yards. Not that Xavier Worthy's confidence is dipping. I get it. Not at all. But the last 2 games, I'm looking, he had 31 last week. He had 56 against Wyoming. The 2 games to open the season, he was at 75 and 90. 90 against Rice, 75 against Bama. I'm taking the more on Xavier Worthy. I think that's an easy choice. I love it. 62.5. I think he shatters that. I think he could even get close to 100 yards in this one. That's my favorite pick by far of those Texas picks.
Man, so I would tell you for me, you're right. The Brooks thing, I don't know. Like I feel like I'm guessing with Brooks, and that one's going to be a tough one for me. But I tell you what, I know that you may be. I'm not crazy. I think Quinn's going to have a big game. Like I think this is the makings of a big game for Quinn against a defense that just will be able to give up some yardage on it. I said when it comes to the red zone, they've given up 10 touchdowns and 4 of them. Now I'd have to go and check and see how many of those are passing yards. But I like Quinn with the passing at 271. I do like Jatavian. I feel like with Jatavian, I'm going to win more than I ever lose. And so there was that fluky game where he didn't have any yards, but then there is the things that he can do and just bust over 100 at any point. And we do know that he's been pretty successful with them. So I like Quinn, and I think I have to take the Alex thing, right? Which Alex. What's that phrase you use? If I take the quarterback, then I got to take the receivers and everybody.
Yeah. In daily fantasy sports, you should correlate your plays.
Yeah. So Alex would correlate. So to correlate that, then I probably would go Xavier Worthy. If I'm expecting Quinn to have a good game, then I probably go Xavier Worthy. And then of course, Jatavian Sanders. Adonai at 43.5 sounds okay. It's not too bad for me, but Jatavian, I know will just. I feel like I'm always going to win more than I ever lose with Jatavian. So that part is real simple.
Has he been better this year than you guys thought? He came into this season when they thought about him as the second best tight end in college football. Has he been that to you? So where you're saying that you can depend on him every week and stuff. I know this is far off of the whole Prize Picks thing, but we're talking about a guy that you can depend on every week to be able to get these mores and stuff. Isn't that crazy that we're talking about?
Not against Wyoming, but he listed 114 against Bama, 110 last week against Baylor. I would say he's probably exceeded my expectations, but then I say that he got that shutout against Wyoming, so he's been really good, but then he's had one bad negative performance. But I mean, when he's on, man, I mean, yeah, I think he's lived up to that billing.
I guess I only ask because I don't ever feel as confident clicking his name on the Moors as you guys seem to. You're just like, well, I'm going to do it every week. And I guess that's been profitable. I guess I'm just asking. I was just curious if.
Well, I'm kind of like that with Adonai Mitchell. It's like 43.5. Like all the hype we heard in the preseason on him, right? Like he might be the team's best receiver. And I think there was even some people saying first round draft pick based on his practice performance. I just keep waiting for him to just shatter these numbers. And he played well against Bama, to be clear. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man, 43.5. I feel like coming into the season, we all would have jumped on that in a heartbeat, right? But now I'm like, I don't know, man, 43.5, that's still shaky. So I keep waiting for him to just really break out of his shell, so to speak, and just put up these huge numbers for consecutive weeks. But we just haven't seen it yet.
So let's just flip it on the Kansas side. Out of curiosity, if we were going to do something on the Kansas side, and Blake has those, let's look at some of these numbers and see how does any of these move you guys. If you were going for the Kansas side, Lawrence Arnold, the wide receiver at 49.5, Jalen Daniels, 210.5 passing yards, Devin Neal, the running back, has nearly 400 rushing yards right now. They got him at 57.5. Jalen Daniels at a 24.5 rushing yards, which is an interesting one play. And then overall, if you just want to combine it, passing and rushing, 239.5 on Jalen. Alex, I'll start once again with you. Does any of those things move you? Any of those things you say, I think I like a little bit of that?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that look, I think Texas wins this game, and I think that the defensive front, I agree with Armwar. Like I said this week, Tavondre Sweat is playing like a first-round pick. Byron Murphy is a complete pit bull. Like Sark even said it this week. The same thing that we've been saying. Like this guy's a bulldog. He's an unbelievable player. These are hard. This is a hard group to go up against and to move off the line of scrimmage. With that being said, Kansas is going to do something. Right, they're going to do something. They're not just going to lay down and just not rack up any yardage, or you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Devin Neal at 57.5 yards. To me seems like I would think they're going to discount it, but golly, what's he averaging? Like Jason, didn't you like? I was looking at his numbers. His numbers have been far better than that on the season.
Alex, in his games, I don't know what his average is, but 94, 120, 89, 91.
Yeah, so I think.
What do you have against Texas last year, Jason? Do you have that?
I don't. If you guys give me a second, I can probably look it up. But no, I don't.
Okay.
And then the other one is just in that same. Well, while Jason is looking at that, I'll just say my other one. Like the first two that popped off to me were just Devin Neal, and then the Jalen Daniels rushing just seems too low. He's a good rusher. Texas is going to disrupt what Leipold wants to do offensively. It's just it's the way that it's the way that I see the game playing out. And when that happens, when you get a guy like Jalen Daniels, who is a baller, he's a baller. He's going to ball out. He's going to try and run. He's going to try and make plays. He's going to try and make things happen for his football team.
Devin Neal had 51 last year, but remember that was in a 55-14 blowout where they weren't really running the ball in the second half. So.
Yeah. I mean, but they're probably accounting for. Thank you, Jason. They're probably accounting for some sacks on Jalen Daniels to lower that rushing number, Alex. Right?
Yeah, that's fair. I guess I guess when I'm talking about these college guys, oftentimes that'll slip my mind because in the NFL, when you get into these rushing entries, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But I think it's fine. I think that probably Devin Neal was the one that sticks out most to me. They're going to have to get something done. It isn't like they're going to have 0 yards of offense and 0 points on the board. I don't think they'll have 0 points on the board. I know they won't have 0 yards of offense. And Devin Neal is one of their best players. So to me, 57.5 seems low.
What about you, Jason? Were there anyone of those you liked?
Well, I'm gonna scare the crap out of Alex, but those are the two that I love too, man. So no, I tell you what, there are people in Kansas who are really high on that backup running back, Daniel Highshaw, I think is how you say his name. Like they think he might be a better runner than Devin Neal, but Neal's getting the lion's share of the carries. But if I look at his stats, and I'm like, like I said, I mean, he's been at or right around or above 100 in all 4 games this year. And I get it. Texas's defense is phenomenal, but 57.5, Kansas is going to try to run the ball to kind of keep Texas off the field a little bit on offense. So I like the Devin Neal more. I love the Jalen Daniels more. The sack thing always worries you a little bit, right? This Texas defense is able to put pressure and get some sacks. It's not out of the question. Texas racks up 4, 5, 6 sacks if things go well, especially the interior of the Kansas defensive line is not great. But I think Jalen Daniels is athletic enough. I think Texas is going to pressure him a lot, okay? But are they going to be able to get him on the ground? I don't know about that. I think he's going to be able to tuck the ball down and do some off-schedule runs where he just tucks it and runs. So 24.5 to me seems pretty low for
I'm putting this entry right now. I mean,
Jalen Daniels.
I think I'm going to take the Jay Brooks thing off of there just because I'm not interested in having this whole Jay Brooks thing happen again. But dude, I mean, the Devin Neal thing, the Jalen Daniels thing, and the Xavier Worthy thing for me are just like,
dude, Alex, you and I are on the exact same wavelength, and I don't know if that's a bad sign for you or what. But those are the 3 that I absolutely love. So
yeah,
I'm curious. None of you guys were moved by the potential of 210 for Jalen Daniels. I mean, this is a game that there's a chance that they're going to fall behind. Jalen's going to have to throw the ball. He's also going to be trying to buy time in order to pass the ball right now. And by the way, his completion percentage, if I look it up, hold on, I had it for
74.7 almost.
Yeah, 74.7. I think that's number 2 in the conference right now. 74.7 completion percentage. None of you guys, because I think I might hit that more on Jalen from the passing yardage.
If we think they're playing from behind, yeah, it's a great play. I mean, people look at him because he's a pretty dynamic athlete. Like, oh, he must not be a great thrower. Man, he's got 173 passer efficiency. This dude can throw the rock. Jason Bean, their backup quarterback, who, he's played, I think he started 1 game. He's got 185 passer rating. Like, people in Kansas are like, hey, I mean, those are good players, but their offensive system and everything they do just kind of seems to open things up for those guys. But I do tend to agree with you, Anwar. If we all think like we predicted that Texas is going to be up 2, 3 scores or whatever in the second half, I mean, they're going to be throwing the ball quite a bit. So that is an appealing number as well.
And Alice, you said you've seen some, the breakdowns in the secondary, right? I mean, it was, we talked yesterday, some of the safety play. There's been some issues that you've seen.
Yeah, well, I just think that now we've seen what it's like whenever Ryan Watts gets burned on a couple plays, right? I think they need to be a little bit more intentional with their over the top help for him, So Yeah, I'm not. I don't necessarily think that that's going to continue,
Yeah.
but it's like there was there's a little bit of a flaw in Ryan Watt's game. For as long as imposing and foreboding he is on the boundary, like he sometimes he has trouble turning and just getting in the hip pocket. These guys who are really really fast on these 9 routes and these super deep routes. So, I clear, the guy's not invincible. He had, up to this point in the season, as of last week, he hadn't had a coverage burn. I think he was only allowing like 15% of completions into his coverage. So, just a little bit of a slip up game for him. And I feel like he could maybe benefit from some safety help, but I'm not going to mess with, Jalen Daniels passing stuff. It feels too easy for me to pick off that rushing thing. It's like Jason says, he gets flushed out of the pocket. He's such a baller, dude. You tell me he's not going to pick up 24 yards. Just
might do it on one carry, right?
Even if it's not even designed runs, you know what I mean? So I just maybe I should consider it. I just don't consider it. I don't consider it something that I just went and put in my entry on those 3 that we talked about. I feel like those are a bit above. If I was looking for some plays that I would consider just kind of playing for fun, I guess I could start thinking about that one, but it just doesn't. I can't talk myself into it and tell myself the same story about that one.
Yeah, I mean, but if he gets sacked 5 times, then they lose 7 yards, each one like that. So then he's got to overcome.
He's a hard guy to sack. He's a hard guy to sack.
Well, there's that. Hey, Alex, before we go, are there anything in the NFL that you may like? I know Detroit plays Green Bay this evening. I don't know.
Yeah. Take the Luke Musgrave over 3 or more than 3 receptions if you're playing tonight.
Okay. And anything else for the weekend? Have you had a chance to look at it, or you
can
do it on your show on Friday?
They don't. I'll talk a lot about it on my show Friday. But I'm looking at it right now. The NFL markets that I've had the most success with this season have been the receptions markets, and the receptions markets right now just aren't. The offerings aren't as robust as they'll be on maybe later today and tomorrow, because generally I think I'm not speaking for Prize Picks, but this is what I do if I were them. I would make sure and front load it with as many guys from tonight's game as you can, so you get people playing this slate, and then you have them playing on the later slates. So I feel like the menu of options will open up a little bit more tomorrow with it. But right off the bat, I mean, one that sticks out to me is, and it's scary to say it, but it looks like Mike Evans is going to be at home versus New Orleans, and I'll have to just go look at the splits, home versus away with this. But we just know that whenever he gets in these games with Marshawn Lattimore, it's always a complete dogfight. These guys are always fighting. They take this thing personally. Half the time they get kicked out of the football game because they're fighting with each other. So I would just say for that one, I know it feels weird because Mike Evans has been actually a lot better than a lot of people thought to start this season. I think I would. The first thing, just without even having my model to back it up or anything, just from straight eyeballing it, and from a narrative standpoint, I might take the less on Mike Evans, but I'm not sure that that's going to be one of my favorite plays once it's all said and done.
Last one, Jay Lee's got a super chat that's in here, so we'll make sure we get to him. Jay, he says, I feel like this game is on Sark's play calling. I think we will find out pretty quick if he's been spending too much time on his OU game plan. You guys don't think Sark's looking that far ahead, right?
God, no.
Yeah.
No, dude. He's facing he's facing another team that controls its own destiny and wants the same thing that he does and has the same record he does and is undefeated and is in your conference.
Yeah.
Coaches don't think like that, man. It's just as fans we can look ahead. I mean, these coaches, they can't afford to look ahead, man. They're getting paid millions of bucks to win this game.
Yeah, Jay. What happens is that's the job of his analysts. Those people are breaking down the OU film, and those people are working on those reports. And so when they get into the office on Sunday morning, first thing, that will be handed to them as they start to break down their own film and look for certain things. But that's definitely far from that.
I dare you to ask Sark that question at his press conference today. Sark, are you looking past Kansas?
What do I get out of the dare? Like, is there money involved? Like,
probably get blacklisted from the next press conference.
Yeah. Nah, I don't. Lincoln Riley blacklisted a guy. I'm not gonna do that. So Sark can get snippy on a good day, let alone something that's an openly stupid question. So I won't do that. All right, that's it. That's it for Prize Picks. Make sure you do it. $100 match, 100% match. You donate and put in 100. This is what I do. Just put in 100, right?
It's not a donation. It's an investment, right?
Yes. You're right. It's an investment. Better choice of words. And then just play with their money. It's like house money, right? You win in Vegas and you spend, you take back what you have, and you just play around with it this weekend and just do it on them. And then, and then you win and stack it. And then eventually it all just kind of boils over. So 100% deposit match up to $100 if you use that promo code Orangebloods. Don't forget, Alex will have a lot more of the breakdown on his show on Friday. So make sure you check it out because he goes into a lot of good details. And I find myself listening to Alex. I find myself I need to listen a little bit more because I realize that Alex is kind of is starting to become a little bit money on this one. And I've gone against him, and there we go. And then Jay Lee wants to go just questioning Sark's consistency as a play caller.
It's fine. Yeah, I mean, feel free to question it. You're a fan of the program. You think about it deeply. That's totally fine. I mean, right?
Yeah, I think you can. Absolutely.
That's what fans do. I mean, you think about your program, and so it's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not necessarily, as far as it pertains to this week. I'm just saying that I don't think he's looking ahead to Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's what we're saying, Jay Lee. Not yes. Play call is one thing, but I don't think that this is not a game where I think he's going in like we have to hold something back for OU. Like that's always like no, he'll unload the playbook if he needs to. There'll be nothing holding back. All right, for Jason Sukamel, for Alex Dunlap, and of course Jeff Ketchum. Thank you for checking us out. Make sure you do sign up for Prize Picks, and we will be back next week, and hopefully we will have a little bit more money in our pocket. You guys take care.